Welcome to Cryptid Crossroads 505. I'm Larry.
And I'm Vince,
Welcome to the show.
where we talk all things cryptid,
Sasquatch,
aliens,
hauntings.
and anything paranormal you would like to share with us.
You can reach us at cryptidcrossroads505@gmail.com.
So settle in, open your mind, and enjoy the show.
Hey, welcome to Cryptid Crossroads 505. We're back here doing it once again. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Vince, give me a shout out.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the CCR 505 studios. We're glad you joined us.
That's right. We're trying to make it back on air as often as we can, you know. If you followed our last episode, we were talking about Alaskan coastal Sasquatch. It's a documentary by Small Town Monsters. We watched part 1 and we talked about it. During Christmas, they released part 2. We watched about it. Now we're going to talk about it.
We watched about it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we watched about it. It's been a long day, so.
Yeah, and we didn't podcast last week because there's something going around. Everybody's getting sick.
Right.
So.
And that was me. I was sick.
Yep. And if you're not sick, you take cover at home.
No shit. No shit. Yeah, no. What I got last week was the crud. It wasn't. I just felt tired, achy. Everyone's, oh, well, was it coronavirus? No. Was it the flu? No. But who knows?
You were just all somehow.
I was just all busted up because I went to this place called Anti-Rock.
I told you to sanitize.
He told me, but I forgot my little sage. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started and get the show on the road.
Yes, sir.
All right, so of course, this topic's about Sasquatch in Alaska, our favorite topic. So where we left off, we were talking about part 1, but part 2 had some interesting, I don't want to say finds, but interesting, what's the word I'm looking for?
Well, they did have some finds, but they also shared past experiences that they've had at the cabin.
Right, they did. I mean, part 1 had some really good stories. The opening of it, the stories that people experienced at that cabin were really good. The one thing that really stuck out to me, and it's not definite if it was a squatch, when they were talking and they heard that loud, what they thought was a gunshot.
Oh yeah.
But upon further investigation, in the back of the cabin on the siding, there was a large handprint, like something slapped it, and it was dented. So they were thinking, was that what we thought was a gunshot?
But they heard that gunshot sound on several occasions.
Right.
And on one occasion, he was out on the porch, and it sounded like it was coming from across the bay,
Well,
where no one should have been, and no one should have been shooting for sure.
right. Well, I mean, they're in the bay, and they're surrounded by mountains, so it's possible that sound, echoed, ricochets, and sound does crazy things when it's in like a cul-de-sac like that.
Right. But I heard the recording when he caught it when he was on the porch, and to me it sounded exactly like a gunshot.
Yeah.
But did you see at the end when they analyzed it in the sound spectrum thing?
Oh yeah.
It wasn't in the exact parameters as a gunshot usually is.
Right. The gunshot had a total different sound wave than this one did.
Right, and that was pretty interesting. So I don't know what maybe the distance did something. I don't know, but according to that, it wasn't a gunshot.
Right.
But it sounded like one, right? But what else could it be?
Who knows? I mean, they're in a remote place where it's just them.
And you know what I was thinking? Because they said no one should be there. No one should be shooting over there because it's very secluded. And the only thing I could think of, like if you want to say it's a Sasquatch, is maybe there's an old piece of equipment, maybe an old car or something, and they're banging on it with a tree limb or something.
Or a rock. I mean, it's possible. What do you think about like the stones getting thrown in the water and
That's that's hard to say. That could go either way because there was a lot of what are they, sea otters?
yeah, sea lions. There were sea lions.
Sea lions. Well, there was otters too.
Yeah, well,
But
yeah.
I mean, they could come up on the beach, but the thing is, they're at a slope, and the slope with erosion from the weather and stuff, rocks are going to go tumbling.
That's true. That's true. I mean, but they did bring up a good point. They also did, during the analysis, someone said, well, it could have been ravens because they had big ravens there. They like to throw rocks.
Right, but the rocks that they were rolling into the ocean, they sounded like good-sized rocks, and I don't think a raven could pick up anything bigger than, probably can't even pick up anything as big as your fist.
No, ravens just pick up pebbles, man.
Right, because, I mean, here we actually have ravens here. They're not
Right.
crows. They're ravens, but
Right.
they're pretty big.
Right.
But still, they couldn't pick up anything, that big. Other than a dirty diaper.
I was going to say, you read my mind. I was going to say, I've seen them pick up many poopy diapers.
Well, I have too. That's why. Well, that's New Mexico for you. But anyway.
Anyway, they were also like, when they were climbing the mountain, they were looking at indentations in the moss. And, your mind, now, once you get fixated on the subject, your mind could start playing tricks on you. And I don't really think that those indentations were like Squatch prints. I didn't feel that. Yeah, that's a Squatch.
Right, and a lot of well, not a lot, but sometimes they misidentify bear tracks because of the way the bears step one paw and
yeah.
the other, and it's real easy to tell because of the claws.
Yeah.
But sometimes you don't have that much definition. So, and it's sad, but a lot of people got Squatch on the brain. So they hear something, they see something, automatically, oh, it's Squatch.
Yeah. Oh, it's Squatchy out there.
Yeah, and that's why we try to stay objective. And I mean, unless we could debunk it and figure
Right.
something else out,
But overall, the experiences that people have had out at this cabin, they were pretty interesting, and I'm going to say they were pretty credible.
Right. I like the one where he was talking about when his friend had to go to the bathroom and wanted to go with just a cell phone light.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, no, I'll go with you. So he took the flashlight and his gun. And he said when his son went, or his friend went to the outhouse, he said the whole time he was in there, he felt like something was watching him.
Right.
And when he got out and started coming back, that's when he saw one right there standing, and it started paralleling him.
Right.
And then he tripped over an old stump, and when he got up, the Sasquatch was 10 feet forward from where it was, still watching him.
Right. I
So
mean,
he took off running. I don't know if that's the smartest thing to do, but
if you think, look, he just fell, and in the time frame, the couple seconds that it took him to get back up, it was already 10 feet closer.
and stopped already watching him.
That's some crazy speed. No, I don't know if I would have took off running. I would have probably just soiled myself so it said, that meat's rotten.
Yeah, with my luck, I would have threw it on the ground to try to deter the Sasquatch, and a raven would have picked it up and carried it off.
But there was really one piece of good evidence when they were looking, because of course they recorded some sounds that were interesting, knocks and sounding like rock clacks. But when they broke that one distant sound down, and I forgot who the sound analyzer was, but he segregated just the background. You heard that howl.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, yes, that was a Squatch.
Yeah. And I like that they had their cabin, but yet they climbed up the mountain a little bit and they camped.
Right.
And they heard a lot of noises, and they had a night vision camera. He said he couldn't catch much just sticking it out of the tent.
Right.
I guess he was afraid to get out of the tent himself and film.
I kind of would be too, man. I'm like,
I would really think twice about what they did, though, because they didn't have no campfire, if you noticed.
no, I know.
They went in dark.
That's pretty brave.
Yeah, it's one thing to go dark where we go.
Yeah.
But that is like way miles and miles. They'll never find you if something gets you there.
Oh, no. I mean, you got huge bears, and yeah, if something got you, you'd be a missing person. You'd be probably on missing 411.
Right.
But it was overall, the documentary was pretty good. I give these guys kudos because they keep going to different locations, and they're just trying to get the best evidence they can.
Right. And, one thing I did like is they obviously have some sponsorship or some financing because they had some good equipment.
They did.
I like that audio recorder that he bolted to the tree.
Oh, yeah.
With it looked like a little motorcycle battery.
Yep.
And what did he say? Those will last a year? Is
A
what he
year.
said? A year?
Yeah. He said anthropologists or field researchers,
Yeah.
they use those out in the wild. And I was like, wow.
That-
And yeah, they did have some good equipment, man. Well, they're little documentaries. There's ads being played on them, so we know they're making a little money.
Right. And on this one, was it my imagination or it had a lot of ads?
They had a ton of ads, especially the beginning, the 5-minute video game ad.
With that guy from the Easy Filming?
Yeah. I was like, okay. I'm like, hey, but you got to make your money. I get it.
Right. But I did like that they set up all the equipment. They set up a shitload of cameras
Right.
down by the river, the fresh water source before it hits the salt water. They really didn't catch anything, but they were only there for a limited amount of time, and maybe the Sasquatch were in a different region.
Right.
Just like maybe they follow the game. I don't know what they do, but like we talked about here, we don't think they really migrate too much because it's shut down to people during the winter,
Right.
and they have all the game they could handle here.
Water, game, everything.
Yep.
They could live.
Right. In Alaska, I don't know. I guess the game move around, so I don't know.
No, in Alaska, the game's always moving.
Well, they got to stay away because there's some big predators.
Right. And it's so vast. I mean, Alaska is so vast. There's just so much territory for these animals to cover. And there too, in Alaska, there's tons of berries, tons of wildlife, fish, you name it. Predators, they could live well out there.
Right. And they do. They thrive. That's why they have those huge bears.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the Kodiaks.
Yep. I really wouldn't want to come across one of those.
No, I wouldn't because
Maybe from about a mile away, and I'm in a car going the opposite way.
Yeah, well, I'm not a fast runner, so let's just say I wouldn't want to cross one's path.
Right. I'm not a fast runner anyway, but if I seen one, I guarantee you that'll be the fastest I've ever run in my life.
In my life. Yeah. And if I trip, I'll just start crying because I know it's right behind me.
And if anyone sees it and I survive, I'll say, well, I was trained to go into the fetal position. I wasn't crying.
They said, act dead.
Yeah.
These people that do the small town monster documentaries, I've seen several of them, and they go all over. They really do take
Right.
They take it serious, and they're trying to get good footage, good audio. But where they were in this one in Alaska, man, I could only imagine being there.
Right. Yeah, that's talk about out of the way.
Yes.
And once they drop you off, you're kind of hosed down, unless you have a boat.
Yeah, you're hosed. Yeah, but I think it'd be pretty cool to visit a place like that. Now I've talked to people that have been there, and they say don't go in the summer because the mosquitoes are so big that they'll carry you away.
Right. But I don't know. You decide the mosquitoes or the bone-chilling cold.
Oh, I know. Yeah, true.
Now, on this episode, they were talking about when they were building the cabin, and they had just a makeshift door.
Right.
And it was covered. It wasn't a wall yet. It was just covered, and something was trying to get in through there.
Yeah.
And he came out with his gun, and they weren't exactly sure what it was, but whatever it was, it pushed the door in and stuff, and he had to cover it up and actually finish the wall to get his helpers to stay,
Yeah, no.
because they wanted to beat it.
Yeah, no, like I said, the activity that gentleman has had, the sounds he's heard since he's been there and built that cabin, I wish he would put up cameras all the time, and I guess to him it's just part of living out in the wild there.
Right, and I'm guessing that's just like a summertime retreat for him.
Maybe, yeah. I wonder if anyone's been there year round.
I don't know.
Yeah, because during the harsh winter, if you're not stocked up,
Right.
that's going to be tough.
Right.
It's going to be tough.
Now on the second episode, they really hiked high into the mountain. I was surprised how high they went up
Right.
past the snow line.
Yeah, once they said they were going to snow line, I was like, man, you're gonna go up high.
Yeah, and they did. They went up there. They had the drone. They got some good footage.
Yeah, that drone footage was awesome. But as they were climbing up the mountain, did you see how steep? Just with the camera, it was like steep straight up.
Yep.
The guy filming had trouble standing.
Oh, did you see them? They're all. If they fell, it just right to their belly. That's how steep it was.
It was crazy. I was like, man, yeah, I give them kudos. And if you noticed, they all packed.
Yeah, they did. Well, did you see some of the bear tracks up there?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd pack too.
Yeah, and they had two guys go out on a kayak too, and one guy flipped over, and I was like, oh man, that's
Right.
it for this guy. You know, that water's cold enough.
Yeah, and like I was telling you off camera, if they wouldn't have spotted them, they would have been in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But it was a good documentary.
Yeah, I thought so. I like the Small Town Monsters. Now, I watched another one from Small Town Monsters with the same two main guys. The guy with the glasses and the cowboy hat, he looks like he might be a native.
Right.
And the other guy, the main guy, and they started off in Bailey, Colorado,
Okay.
where they have a Sasquatch. It's like a museum / gift store / you could go tell your stories there. And they got a map where they use little stick pins to put all the sightings. Yeah, but it was pretty neat. They came across some people and some pretty neat stories.
Right. I don't know if I've seen that one.
I just ran into it the other day when I was browsing. I go to the Small Town Monsters page.
Oh, okay.
And I was scrolling down through their stuff, and that's where I found it. And then I found another one. I don't think it was Small Town Monsters. I don't know who it was, but these people went on an expedition. I'm guessing it's an older one. They went to what's the name of the bay where Port Lock is? Port Chatham.
Port Chatham, Alaska.
Port Chatham, and Port Lock's just a little community, right?
Right.
But they went there, and I'm guessing it was before this killer Bigfoot thing came out.
Oh, okay.
Because they were the first ones to investigate.
Okay.
But they found some interesting stuff. It was that time of the year where the berries were full in the bushes.
Okay.
And they found a section that, the deer and stuff had eaten, taken most of it. And it was like an imaginary line. And right here, untouched. And one of their theories was, well, maybe that's the Sasquatch, and they get those when they're ready.
Right. They probably guard it. So
Or they sent it, so the deer are like, nope, I'm not going in there.
yeah, they could. That's possibly too. The male just takes a leak all over it
Yep.
and says, "We'll eat it. It'll be a little salty, but we'll eat it later."
And they'll be pickled.
And I mean, it's possible.
Yeah.
It would just raise a question: why would they devour the berries on this side of the invisible line and not touch these ones?
Right.
There's a reason for it.
Yeah, and they were hiking through the hills there where they called no man's land.
Right.
And they even showed that cabin. Remember, they spent the first night in it on the
Okay.
other show. And they I don't know, they were filming, and some of the people, I saw something out of the corner of my eye,
Oh,
darting between trees.
was this with the older man?
Yes.
Yes, I do believe I saw this one.
And they had some young girl.
Young girl. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, I did see this one. Yeah.
Where they would go to the boat every night.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm like, what's that? Camp there,
Yeah. No, I said the same thing. I'm like, you're not going to have the activity in the day that you would at night.
Right. And that's they probably knew that, but they're playing it safe.
Well, some people just want to be daytime squatchers.
Right. And I've had one person on one of these documentaries say that he does his squatching in the days because they are more active at night, but
Right.
they do move during the day. And that's when you're going to actually see them. He goes, I want to see, I don't want to just hear something in the dark.
Right. No, that makes sense. And I mean, look at the Paul Friedman video. He got them during the day.
Yeah.
And that's some of the best footage too.
Patterson Gimlin was during the day.
Right?
Yep. Now, I don't know if they come as close to you in the day as they do at night, like if you were at camp.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so you could either go either way with that. But I know at night they're hard to catch. You know, it's how much footage do we have of them at night? You might have some what do they call it, blob squatch.
Yeah.
There it is, right there, and you're like, I don't know. I don't see
What
it.
was that?
The best one I've seen caught at night is the skunk ape one
Yeah.
down in Florida. The Browns.
Is that the one where it's walking?
Remember when they went out of their camp and
Oh,
the
yeah.
father and the son?
Yep. Yes.
And they caught it going between tree
The
to tree,
trees,
and then
yeah.
Dad's like, "We got to get out of here."
Yeah, no, that's the same one I'm thinking of. Yeah, but you know, these creatures are spotted all over the world. They have different names.
Yep.
People all over the world have sworn they've seen one, and it takes me back to the theory that they do exist, and they're just not myth, because a lot of people out there still say, it's all make-believe. A lot of people think that hoaxsters are running around,
Right.
but
Well, but they've been in Native American folklore for years, decades, centuries before the white man even showed up.
even before the Bigfoot story was published in the paper up in Trumbull County, they've been in folklore, native folklore,
Since the beginning of time.
and almost every tribe has their story for them. Some tribes say they're brothers, some tribes say they're the enemy.
Right, right. Now, going back to this documentary where they started in Bailey, California, the owner was talking about how people come and tell him stories and stuff. And,
Right,
and he said they get a lot of Native Americans, mostly a lot of Navajos,
right.
and they tell their stories and stuff. He said he's only met one Native American, and he was a police officer that didn't believe in it.
Oh, wow.
He said, but he's been out to investigate when people call in sightings,
Right.
but he himself didn't believe.
Huh. That's
He must
interesting.
be one of them city guys instead
Well,
of a res guy.
You're right, because most of your natives do believe, because
Right.
it's part of their culture.
I mean, the stories are passed down, and that's just to them. It's the hard fact, the truth. That's why they keep passing those stories down. Now, I've heard people say, "Oh, when I was young, they used to tell us stories about Sasquatch, and I thought that was just to keep us in line, keep us
Right.
close to home at night." But until I had my sighting, and they're like, "Wow, it is real."
Oh, right here where we live in New Mexico, up in the Farmington area, near the Four Corners area, that's a hot spot for where we live. That is the hot spot.
Right.
And I always come to the same conclusion. I think it's just because Colorado's right there. They got all the mountainous terrain. They got the river.
Yeah, and then the San Juan River, and that's one thing they talked about on that documentary is the Rockies come all the way down to northern New Mexico,
Right.
and that's where it starts, and they go all the way up into Alaska.
Right.
So they could follow the mountain chain anywhere.
So yeah, I mean, if these creatures follow that mountain chain, there's a lot of territory that they could cover,
Right,
and no one's even going to know they're there.
right.
That's because
Well, even if they know, what are they going to do?
right. I mean, we haven't even explored most of our wilderness. We've developed these cities, and that's where we've stood.
Right, and like we talked about on a past episode, when people do go out into the wilderness, we tend to stay in the outskirts,
Right.
where it's or where we think it's relatively safe.
Right. I mean, we don't really dive deep into it, because people that think, oh, well, I'm going to go deep in the woods and be an outdoorsman, they end up getting lost.
Right. Yep.
Because if you get in thick woods, it's easy to lose your sense of direction.
And it's rugged terrain.
It is rugged terrain. And if you get hurt, you're done.
Yep. At best, you'll have a game trail. At best.
At best.
Yeah. But there's so much that we haven't explored. It's kind of like the ocean. We don't even know what the hell's really in there.
We don't. I mean, it's
Other
so
than
vast.
plastic Walmart bags.
There's a lot of that in there.
Yep.
And straws is what they say.
Yep. Straw. It's funny you mentioned straws because I was listening to the radio and the guy says, I miss when I was younger days when straws were plastic, breasts were silicone, and pants were made of spandex. That's our era.
That is our era. These I always forget his name. Who's the guy from Finding Bigfoot?
Cliff Brockman.
Cliff Brockman, yeah.
He's really the credible one, I think. Matt Moneymaker is to a certain extent, but Matt Moneymaker is one of these guys. There's a Squatch. It's a Squatch.
Him and Bobo, everything's a Squatch.
Yeah.
But Cliff does. Did you see the little museum that him and his wife run?
Yes.
So that
In
tells,
Oregon, is it in Oregon?
In Oregon, and that tells me that he's serious about it, and he's one of the ones that will tell you, I've seen one, and they are real.
Yes, they run a museum, and he still goes out and does field investigations. A sighting, he's
Right.
there. He's there to collect evidence.
Right.
Did you watch that one I sent you with him?
I did watch it.
That was very good. Huh?
That was a good documentary, and I think we should talk about that one totally by itself.
Yeah.
But he just came to my mind because he did say, and it's in that documentary, that I've seen them, they're real. So everyone that's a naysayer,
Right.
you could say what you want, but I know they're real.
But that has got to be the best documentary as far as breaking it down, how to get evidence, what everything means, and I really like the way he. I don't want to get into it because we're going to talk about it later but how when he talked about the makeup of the foot and why the prints are like they are.
Yeah.
Because see, I understood the difference, the way the prints were between a Sasquatch and a Bigfoot, but I really never knew why they were like that until he explained the bone makeup and stuff.
The prince between a Sasquatch and a Bigfoot, or a bear,
Or a man, I mean.
a man. Yeah.
Well, they say that the Sasquatch are the true giants.
Right.
They have the toes spread out.
Right.
And the Bigfoot are the ones with more human DNA, so they have a more human.
More
footprint.
human, closer together.
Right.
Yeah. I could see that. I could see that.
But wasn't Jeff Meldrum in that one also?
He was.
Now, there was another one with Jeff Meldrum, but Jeff Meldrum's a college professor. He's real technical. Sometimes he's too educated where, it's kind of dry and hard to follow.
Right.
But
It's like.
this Cliff one, he hit it right on the nose. It was at our level, something we could understand.
Well, and that's it. Cliff brought it to us at the layman's level.
Right.
Dr. Meldrum brings it to you at the professor level.
Yeah, and that's why I had to pause it. Wait, what does that word mean?
Yeah, what did he say?
How does he spell that?
Yeah. But anyway, back to the small town monsters.
Yeah, but there's a lot of documentaries from small town monsters that I haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
And that's where I found that other one, just browsing through. And
They have quite a bit of documentaries.
Yeah.
Now, I first stumbled into them when they were doing their first documentaries when they were hitting the scene,
on the Travel Channel?
No, on the internet, like
okay.
the Mothman.
Right.
When they did the Mothman, when they were doing all the folklore, they're the ones that. Do you remember we talked about the Beast of Bear Road?
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones that did that.
Right, but a lot of their early ones I saw on the Travel Channel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I did see the Mothman one there. But now that they've gained some traction, it seems like they have more of the Bigfoot
Right. No,
than anything else.
I think personally that they're on a vendetta. That they got the bug.
Yeah, well, not only that, I'm sure there's tons of Bigfoot sightings as compared to the Mothman
Right.
or a rake, whatever they call
Well,
them.
yeah, the rake. I mean, if you think about it, Bigfoot's all over the country, and the rake. You don't hear the rake, but
Right.
maybe 3 stories of we saw the rake.
Right. And the problem with that is you see that footage and there's always footage of the rake, but you're like, I don't know if I buy that.
You're like, I don't know.
Yeah, because I've even seen some of those on paranormal caught on
I've seen them
camera.
too.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, come on, man.
Right. It's like, yeah, that's fake.
Yeah. Well, then again, on that show, they've had some Bigfoot ones that are just painfully, obviously hoaxes.
Right. If you have what channel is it on? Oh, on Discovery Plus. There's a series called These Woods Are Haunted.
Right.
And they have some really good Bigfoot encounter stories
Yeah.
that are just cool. I'm like, yeah. And you know, a lot of them are people that go into the woods and they get chased out by these creatures.
Right.
Most, I'm going to say 90% of those Bigfoot sightings and stories are about them getting escorted out,
Right.
chased out, like you're not wanted here.
Right. I actually they play those on the Travel Channel also.
Yeah.
And I've seen the one where the father and the son go hunting, and one of them's getting them out because he has a kill there that they're camping by.
Oh, yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, and then another one, these people go to a cabin in the woods for a birthday celebration or something.
Yeah, yeah. And some of those are good stories.
Yeah.
Good stories. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us tonight. We hope you enjoyed what we shared with you. And I suggest go on to YouTube and check out these documentaries for yourself. If you're a Sasquatch enthusiast, I think you're going to like them.
Right, small town monsters. Just remember that.
That's right. Anyway, thanks for listening. Pow. And we'll see you next time.
Hey, thanks for watching.
We hope all you YouTubers enjoyed the show.
That's right. And don't forget to reach out to us at cryptidcrossroads505@gmail.com.
Peace.
Peace.